Hello and welcome to the Stew with JT Brew on Fantasy and Frames mock draft season. We're here, rookie mock draft. We're going to go 3 rounds in this one. Super flex, half point PPR. So that's half point for running back, half point per wide receiver, 1 full point for tight end. So a little bit different than what we did last week. Feel free to go back and check out our draft from last week. If you're interested in getting in future drafts, hit me up at JT Orange. You can get me over there to say, hey, I want to get in the drafts, and we'll put you in there and get you going. Got a couple cool guys to help me out with it tonight. Let's get this thing started. You're in the stew.
You up on trades and why you move, you ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release, we started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sifting through through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.
All right,
absolutely
boys,
love your intro, man.
I was thinking the same thing, man.
I gotta send out a shout out to my guy Chase Baby. He's a local rapper. Put that together for me. I was like, hey man, I need a cool intro song. Can you write me up something? And he did the music, the lyrics, put that thing together for me. So if you get a chance, go on Bandcamp, check him out, Chase Baby. Really good stuff, man. Great rapper, local rapper. Put that together for me. So appreciate that. Shout out to him. I got Eli, Joey, and Essie in the house tonight. Thanks, guys, for helping me out on this draft. Again, for anyone just joining us, 3-round rookie mock draft. We're going half point PPR, running back, wide receiver, half point, tight end, 1 point. So not a full point ahead, just a half point heavier for the tight end, not a 1.5 on this one. We're going to go 3 rounds here on Sleeper. Let's pull up the screen and get this thing going for everybody. If I can make that happen here. We'll get we'll get it going in here. Oh, hey, we got an extra guy to the mix here. John McGlynn, my guy, jumping in last second. Thanks, Johnny. You're good thing you are in. You're at the end of the clock, so we haven't started. So you made it just in time.
Woo, yeah.
So get this thing. So I'm gonna get this thing fired up. I think we've got everybody in the chat. Hopefully here we're ready to go. Eli, you're gonna get this thing started off for you. You ready to go, man?
Yeah. I purposely picked the number 1 spot. We'll make this real quick. Hopefully, there we go.
We're in.
Ding. You know, he's a can't miss in my opinion, and I'd be dumb to take anybody else. I'm going to take Ashton Genty, number 1.
I like it. I think especially in a half point PPR, I don't think there's a lot of question unless you need QB. Is that where you guys are thinking? Unless you're just in a desperate position for a quarterback, are you taking him, or are you taking GT and then trying to trade for a QB?
Yeah, I think even if you're desperate need for a quarterback, you're still taking Genty. I mean, these quarterbacks, these top 2-3 guys we're talking about are nice, but we see what Genty could do, and he could be a difference maker for a team, especially at a running back. Those are so hard. You know, you can get some backup quarterbacks that shine through the season, you know, but Genty, that, like he said, can't miss, man.
I like it. Second on the clock now. We're going to see if that's going. We got a few comments in the draft. Hey, let's go. Yep, thanks. I appreciate you boys being here. Jamie in the mock draft again. I appreciate that. Best time, but Jamie's in here. Oh, I didn't even know Jamie was in the draft. He's here at 105. I love it. So Jamie usually is in the comments section. He's helping us out here. So that's nice. I like asked John's about the tight end premium. Yeah, we're at a half point. So half point PPR. So the tight end premium is 1.0. So a half point more, Jamie. And this one is coming up. So
I like John's background. That looks pretty slick.
One of our hosts on the Fantasy and Frames, the Dynasty evaluation show here is John McGlynn jumping in. We're not drafting next to each other. We drafted last night on Dynasty 465. We just dude, it was we were drafting right next to each other. We knew each other too well. We were stealing people like left and right in front of each other. So we're like, hey, we need to be opposite in the draft. We need to not be next to each other because
I got as far away as I possibly could today, JT.
I know I went right in the middle and I saw saw you took 112 to not even be near me. So that's great. Warsh is in here. It looks like he might he's going to possibly time out here. And then Jay, it looks like you're up next after him.
Yes, I am. This one's going to be a little bit of a shock. This is going to be a shocker for some of you guys. And I'm going to go with this just because it's half point.
Oh, here we go.
Shocker ain't the word, brother.
Going
explain
right off
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
going to tell us about this one.
Well, so, I mean, if you think about half PPR, the rushing quarterbacks are going to be a little bit more valuable than your standard quarterbacks, and especially in a half PPR. Quarterbacks that are more on the rushing side, they're going to have a little bit more value in a half point PPR setting. So like Jackson and your Murrays and stuff like that are going to be a little bit more valuable in a setting like this.
Jamie says Milrose a glorified Malik Willis.
Oh,
he's better than more than Malik Willis, but that's taking a shot at him there. That one's tough. Anybody else have any strong feelings about Jalen Milroe?
I think.
Yeah, JT. I think he's going to be the top dual threat quarterback coming. I think he's the one and only in this draft. Like if you think about it, Jackson Dart can move a little bit, but like with the format of this league, it's he's the perfect guy. If everything pans out right. So I it's a bold pick. At 3, but I understand it.
I do. Is this assuming that Milroe gets first round projection? Like, does this change if he's a second or third round quarterback for you, having him at 103?
I think he's still going to be a first round, especially if you're doing your standard startup leagues, or not startup leagues, but your actual traditional rookie drafts or whatever. I think he still falls in like the 105 or 106. I think he's still, but this will push him up in more of your half point. If he was just a full PPR, I'd take him a little bit later in a draft. Put
him on the Jets. Let him have Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if a team falls in love with him. We can see it if he can have a huge combine like AR did. Anthony Richardson. There's a chance the team's going to fall in love with him, and they're just going to see. I talk about it all the time. Nice. These NFL coaches, they think they can coach up anybody. So if they see the talent is there, they think they can mold it. If you get the right person who thinks that they can do that with Jalen Milroe, I can see him coming off the board in the first round. I wouldn't pick him in the first round as an NFL GM, but I can see someone that would.
Well, my mom told me if I had nothing nice to say about anybody, don't say nothing at all. So I'm just going to leave that alone.
I love the Hampton pick, though. I'm all over that. I love that pick.
I love the Hampton pick.
Marion Hampton isn't. He's another bell cow. What would you guys think about Luther Burden? I don't know if that's a little too high. Like he kind of had I don't know if he was banged up or what, but like his last year at Missouri wasn't very good. Like fantasy wise.
I do enjoy Burden. The reason why I would say I think it's high. If Travis Hunter goes in as a wide receiver, I think they're taking Hunter over there. I think right now it's looking like people might assume that he's a defensive back, not a wide receiver, but I would take him or Burden. But other than that, I think that's a great pick for him.
Wow, what a surprise. JT Shedeur Sanders. Holy cow.
I keep thinking I'm going to take someone else, but he keeps falling to me. I mean, if he's going to fall to me in the middle of the first round, he's my QB1 in a super flex league. I love Burden. I love some of these other guys, but if he's going to get to me at 1-6, it's hard for me. It's going to be hard for me to pass him up in any league in the middle of the first round.
Interesting. Cam goes right after Shedeur, and then Igbuka.
I was in a draft where I got a book at 201 and 202 the last couple of days, and it was a full point PPR, which I thought was nuts, but I'll take it,
Yeah. Drew from Fantasy and Friends with us came right after Cam Ward at 107, then Ibuka at 108. Our first tight end off the board, Loveland here in the half point PPR, but 1 point. Tell us about why you love Loveland as your top tight end there, SC.
So it was going to be Ibuka. If Ibuka fell, that's who I really wanted. But, I mean, you're going in with a full-point tight end. Loveland is a great receiving tight end. He can block as well, just an all-around kind of guy. Right now, I think he can go to the Chargers, and that just reunites him with his college coach and Justin Herbert, who likes to use a tight end. I would absolutely love that.
That's the perfect spot. I forget where the Chargers are picking, probably somewhere in the around 20 or so. But, yeah, Loveland will be there. Absolutely.
All right, so
Johnny, what are you doing here?
I'm going to pick Caleb Johnson here. Here's the problem, though. Okay, I just watched a whole hour of Caleb Johnson, and every time somebody touched him, he got tackled. He got tackled on the first contact almost every time. But his line, he had such big holes on these long 75, 80-yard runs. I'm not saying he's bad by any means. He's big. He's fast. He hit the holes hard. He flew through. He read the line perfectly. He did so many things right, but he just can't break tackles. I mean, I'm sure there's some stat out there that says like, oh, first, how many times you see a hand on his hip or a hand on his thigh, and that's all it was. Nobody had, every time he got direct contact with him, he went down like he couldn't break any tackles kind of deal. But he got like 3 or 4 yards almost every carry because he shot through the line like a cannon. So he's a big dude. He's fast, but he can't break tackles. But I tell you what, I mean, he looks good. Reading, just his vision is awesome. So, I mean, I really couldn't pass up on him in that situation at 112.
This gonna be a stretch here, but I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy. I don't. It's too early for Dart, I think. So I'm gonna go tight end there. Same reasons these guys took Loveland and Warren, but Fannin I think it's got a high ceiling.
And Eli, for that pick, I mean, if any mixture of 2 tight ends go in the first round of Loveland, Warren, or Hannon, I think the 201 is an automatic. You gotta take that next tight end because those 3 are the upper echelon in the tight end class, and then you get that dip, right? So great pick there.
It's such a thank you, yeah, and it's such a drop off. I feel I don't know if you guys feel like that too. Between there's the 2 main guys, and then there's Fannin, and then like the next tier of probably career backup, or deep on your bench guys.
Agreed.
All right. This
Jay, who are you thinking here? You got about a minute 10 left.
Yeah.
Who are you thinking after you took Milrow in the first round?
It all depends. If you need some running back, it wouldn't hurt. I was thinking maybe, it all depends too. I mean, I like wide receiver here too as well. But this is a guy we already kind of talked about today, and I'm gonna stand by my word here. And RJ Harvey.
Love it.
I don't know about you guys. I think there's a lot of running backs in the second round that are like kind of in this second tier, third tier that are all jumbled together. And I think it's going to be fantasy players are going to be like NFL GMs. They're going to like their guy and take their guy. And you could see guys going either early first all the way to the early third, depending on who likes who in your league. Are you guys feeling like that's kind of the way it's working out now, at least until we see where some of these guys eventually fall?
Yeah, it was like our thoughts on Harvey. If you think of what he did at UCF, I mean, he had back-to-back 1,000 some odd, over 1,500 some odd yards. And you think about it too. This kid was a quarterback before he transitioned into a running back, and he actually took some direct snaps, from at UCF when they were in the goal line. And I mean, and we mentioned too that he's kind of like a Ken Walker. He's kind of his 40-40 time is close to on Jonathan Taylor Thomas, James Cooks, Bijan Robinson. So I mean, he's in the press of some of those guys that can run 4-4.
Yeah. Like JT was saying, it's kind of like pick your particular guy. There's a lot of, are you a Devin Neal guy? Are you a RJ guy? Are you a Judkins guy? I love that Devin Neal pick. We've been big on him for a year and a half, like from the end of the 2023 year with Kansas. So I love that pick.
If Travis Hunter gets the 2-4 in my draft and I took Sanders at 1-6, I'm going to be so mad when he gets 2 picks in front of me, because there's no way I think I could get him in the middle of the second round. I love Hunter. The talent is there. Man, if he got to me at a 2-4 spot, I would be ecstatic, because he's a guy I'm going to be debating whether to take in the first round in about every league.
So yeah, I think RJ and Scadaboo are kind of in the same pressla of, they're similar running backs. They're stocky, big, they can run over people, and that's what we mentioned in our spotlight when we did RJ. Both these guys were top 5, college fantasy running back, or top 5 in fantasy for college anyways, and these guys were at the top of the leaderboards, and Scadaboo and Harvey are kind of similar in that aspect. Besides, the fact that Scadaboo wasn't a quarterback in that mean, anyways.
Where do you think Scadaboo's getting drafted at? I think he's going to be a day 3 guy, like middle of round 4, probably something like that. I mean, people are saying like round 2. I'm like, get out of here. There's no way.
No, John. I agree with you. I think it's probably 4th round. I think the Chiefs to make the perfect spot. I think he's a better version of Carson Steele. I think he'd
Carson
be a
Steele's a
perfect
fullback. Get out of here.
Dude, I think Skenaboo is going to be all over the place, man. It's wild. I saw on some draft boards he was really high up. People had him with the top tier guys. I had other ones. He's not in people's top 10. He's going to be another one. He's going to have to find a team that really just loves him and feels like he's the guy that fits their system. Because man, he is one of the few guys I see the most difference with. On there is no consensus. I see people that like him as RB2 or 3, and like again, I have other people have him as 12, 13, 14. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the league kind of what they think about him.
JT, who am I taking here? You know damn well.
I'm just trying. Whenever you ask me that, I was trying to figure out if you actually
Golden.
like. To me,
it's a tight end premium draft.
A tight end premium. I couldn't see you going 2 rounds without taking a tight end here. I mean, are you taking who? Are you taking? Taking my guy Gadsden?
I'm taking Elijah Arroyo.
Oh, Arroyo. Oh, why? Of course, I knew you were taking Arroyo. That was just my bad. I think
he's going to be drafted in the second round here. He's probably this. I think he's the second best tight end in this draft. So.
Yeah, I know you love Arroyo. He's up on a lot of people's boards. Right now, for me, he's right at tight end 5.
Just 5,
for a
6,
guy but I think he's got a ton of talent.
Yes, I think just the fact of the matter that he didn't get on the field a lot. He was hurt a lot. He didn't get, he doesn't have a lot of stats. I think that the way he moves and stuff, a little bit of film that you do have about him just shows that he can move. It's a pleasure just to watch that little bit of film you possibly can on him. I just like the way he absorbs the ball better than some of the other tight ends. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say that Harold Fannon's not a better receiver than him, but I don't think Harold Fannin can do the things that Arroyo can do on a football field. So,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Injuries, how much is that going to hold him back? The thing is, if he goes out and puts up a crazy RAS score at the combine, I think people will be all over him. I mean, he's one of those guys, high end recruit, 4-star kid from Texas, like. If it wasn't for the injuries, people, I think, would be. I mean, I don't think there'd be a doubt how high people would be on him. But I also think if he can show that those injuries aren't going to be a problem as far as like long-term stuff, I think people will be all over him because he's still young. I mean, people forget he's had multiple injuries, but I think he's coming out as a redshirt sophomore. He's only like 21. So it's not like he's a guy who's been injured for 4 years and is coming out as like a 5th-year senior.
Right. Didn't Miami have a 9-year player that just finally his eligibility ran out?
They did have another time. Don't mistake it for that
Absolutely.
guy. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was actually in the league for like 7 years, college for 7 years. But Arroyo actually passed him up on the depth chart, and he was their main tight end.
Yeah, you know what? What's going to happen with this when these guys go 2 or 3 years or 2 years of junior college and then get 4 or 5 years in college on top of that? Because now with the junior college is not considered years. Some of these guys, because of the NIL, they're making so much money in NIL. Why would you go to the pros and make, if you're not a round 1 or round 2 guy, why would you make more money in college?
I have here's my only thing is I actually don't have a problem with guys staying in college longer because I love college football. I know a lot of people are like, get out of college, get into the NFL. I want to see you in the NFL, but I love to see more talent stick around and not, especially guys that are not especially going to be up there and are really swinging and they're like 4th or 5th or 6th round picks. I'd rather see those guys come back and get another shot and play and keep the level of college football up. So that on the opposite side of that, because I know a lot of people don't love it. I do, staying in college for 8 years is kind of insane, but hey, you know what? If you would have told me I could play college football for 8 years and stay in college for 8 years, I absolutely freaking would have done it. I was there almost 6, and I'm not I don't have any crazy, doctorates or anything. So I was in college as long as I could be. I mean, college is freaking great, super fun. It's too expensive these days to be able to stick around, but that's another story. But my thing is stick around, play as long as you can.
Yeah, I was there for a semester and I got that boot for Christmas and it didn't come in a box. They said, "Hey, these grades aren't good enough, buddy. Get the hell out of here."
Hey, real quick, as we're checking up here. We got John took Arroyo, but then we got Eli took Tez, Warshak took Ewers, then Jay, you took Gasson, and then Graffiti came and take Mason Taylor, which is killing me. That was my guy. I was hoping he would continue this round. Eli, so tell us a little quick why you like Tez Johnson there at 3-1.
I've been a fan of his for since the beginning of the season. I know he got hurt there for a little while, but like him and Gabriel were just they had a special connection going on, and I think he's been having a great offseason too. I've been hearing great remarks about him, and next level. Even if he's a late day 2, early day 3 pick, I think some team's going to get value. I think he's going to be a better pro than Troy Franklin, for example, from Oregon from last year. So I think Tez has got a high. I know he's smaller, 5'8", but I think Tez has got a lot more of a ceiling than Troy Franklin.
How many people thought that Troy Franklin connection would have been like just a seamless transition in the NFL? It would have been who would have thought they would have gone the same team and had the same
quarterback, same team. Yep.
And had a coach that used Michael Thomas and Drew Brees like that. I would have thought it'd be the same combination and nothing. It just, I don't know what the hell is going on there.
Yeah. Right. That's what I was going to say. Robert Thomas was the greatest comment. Said Tim Tebow could have stayed in college and been a hero forever. Absolutely. If I'm Tim Tebow, I would have stayed in college. He would have made so much money in college. Tim Tebow, he's another great example of a guy that just could have just stayed in college and just kept bringing home championships and making tons of money with all the endorsements he would have got in college. But go ahead, jump in. Sorry, Jay. Jump back in and say what you were saying, Jay.
Oh no, I was just going to say too. I mean, I was hoping Franklin and Nix was going to have that report going on. Being on the same team as well. I thought that was going to happen too, but that actually never even. They had maybe a couple moments here and there, but we had Devon Vele who popped in there a little bit more over Troy Franklin and whatnot. So I don't know. I just thought that the Broncos offense was just kind of a mess. It was all kind of scatterbrained. We didn't really know who was, number 1, number 2, number 3. So it was all kind of all over the place in my eyes.
But what about the Gadsden pick?
I was about to say something before you had mentioned that. That's another. If he was still available at my spot, I don't care if I would have had 2 tight ends in a rookie draft. I would have picked him over there. But that's a great pick.
Jay, I know you love him. I'm a big Gasson fan. I was like dying for Gasson or Taylor to get back to me. Like those were the 2 guys I was eyeing. I was like going to take Taylor and then Gasson, and then they both went back to back. I ended up jumping in and taking Martinez. But I have to be honest with you, in this type of format, if this was 1.5 tight end and a half PPR, if you're in a league where it's a full point more, I would have been on Mason Taylor at 2.6. And I was considering him at 2.6 when I took David Neal. I was hoping Mason Taylor was going to get back to me, but I think I'm going to have to adjust my process because I've been getting him pretty consistently middle to late third, beginning of the fourth. When the real NFL draft happens, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think you're going to have to go up and get him because I really love Mason Taylor, and I think he's going to be a guy that's going to jump up draft boards once we actually see the NFL draft come out because I think he's a guy that goes in the second round of the NFL draft.
JT, what would you do in round 4? Because your boy Woody Marks is off the board, man.
Well, I tell you what. See, I like Woody in a full PPR better, just because I love his receiving profile. So I have to be honest with you. If it was a full PPR, I would have probably taken. He's right there with Damian Martinez for me. I like Damian Martinez better if it's not as much receiving because I think he's more of a powerful back. Not that I think he can't catch. I would have considered taking Woody Marks instead of Martinez at a full PPR, but half PPR, I'd rather have Martinez.
In fairness, I took Restrepo, assuming Martinez would fall to me. That's why I wanted to make the pick there. So Marks was next on my board.
I know SC is one of those guys who loves Martinez like I do. I just think when you and I both saw him a lot at Oregon State and loved what he was able to do there. And then going to Miami, we were both hoping he would kind of be a little more of a feature back, but they were pretty talented all around there. And they didn't run him in the ground, but when he got the ball, he was pretty good. He won't be blowing you away with his stats just because they did have Mark Fletcher and some other guys that were getting carries. And of course they had Cam Ward, so they were throwing the ball a ton. So it wasn't like they were just running the ball. But I think Martinez, and I've said it quite a few times, I just think he's one of those guys that ends up being a better pro than he was a college player. He just has that pro build. Kid's about 225, 230. Was he 6'1", 6'2"? He's a big dude. With people kind of going back to these bigger running backs, running game, and kind of acting like running backs matter again, which is just fantastic. For years, I was like, running backs matter. Nobody cares about running backs anymore, and I love that everybody's caring about running backs again. So he's a guy I'm big on there. John, you got the last pick here, and then we're going to talk about this draft here a bit.
This is so hard because
who are you thinking? I knew you would have went double tight. You would have double tap tight end here. Gasson and Taylor.
I had so many guys on my fantasy team that I like. Ricky White, I love a lot. I love a lot of Rick. There's so many buried guys, and I only have with this. I mean, I got to go best available, which is Isaiah Bond. I think right now at this point in time, but it's either between who would you guys take, Isaiah Bond or Dylan Sampson?
Terrence Ferguson.
Sampson over a Bond. I don't like. For me, Bond's been kind of like the Texas team that really hasn't really panned out. I mean, they had Xavier Worthy and the other guy who was they were all right.
He's 001, Jay, not 007. Isaiah Bond, yeah. No,
he started out with a
Nice
lot
pick.
of steam, and yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just he might have great talent, but I mean, I just don't think he's gonna pan out to like a lot of us would expect him to do. That's why I'm like, Isaiah Bond. I don't see it. I'm like, I mean, a lot of people are like, why would you draft the guy that really doesn't? It's kind of like a Jackson Meek. The guy. Some guys he's kind of in that talks of maybe a riser or whatever. He hardly even played until he actually got to Syracuse. He had almost 1,000-yard season. Other than that, he was a no-namer.
Same with Arroyo, but I'm taking him in the second round.
Yeah.
All right, let's do. I'm going to do a little recap just for anybody in case they're not watching here on YouTube and they're actually listening to it on a podcast. Let me break this down real quick for everybody. So we open things out with Ashton Jeanty, running back 101, Ted McMillan, wide receiver at 102, Jalen Milroe, the surprise in the first round, QB at 103, Amarian Hampton, running back 104, Luther Burton, wide receiver at 105, Shadur Sanders, quarterback 106, Cam Ward, the next quarterback right behind him at 107. Mecca Abuka, wide receiver, 108. Colson Loveland, 109, the first tight end off the board. Then Travion Henderson, 110, the running back at Ohio State. Tyler Warren, 111, tight end out of Penn State. Then Caleb Johnson, another Big Tenner, at 112. To John, the running back out of Iowa, to finish off the first round. Second round went Harold Fannin, tight end out of Bowling Green. 202, Judkins, running back at Ohio State. Then RJ Harvey, 203, running back from Central Florida. Then we had Travis Hunter going off the board, the wide receiver, cornerback, a special Heisman Trophy winner, 204. 205, Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, wide receiver. Devin Neal out of Kansas, 206, the running back. Then Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, QB, 2-7. Cam Scattaboo, Arizona State, the legend, 208. Estrepo, wide receiver from Miami, 2-9. Ollie Gordon, 2-10, running back out of Oklahoma State, 2-11. I always jack his name up.
Yeah,
SC, how do you say it?
Iomanor or Manure. He's more
Iomanor. There you go.
Manure
That's way closer than I could ever get. I butcher it every time. It's like I look at it and I sound it out and then I totally butcher it in my head when I go to say it. So wide receiver out of Stanford at 211. Arroyo, tight end out of Miami, 212. Then at 3-1, Tez Johnson, Oregon. Ducks wide receiver Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas at 3-2. Gadsden, tight end out of Syracuse, 3-3. Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, 3-4. Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, 3-5. Damian Martinez, Miami, running back at 3-6. 3-7. DJ Giddens, running back out of Kansas State. Higgins, 3-8, wide receiver out of Iowa State. Woody Marks, my guy, 3-9 out of USC, the running back, formerly of Mississippi State. Go back and watch some of his receiving stats at Mississippi State. You'll be blown away. Royals, Utah State, wide receiver at 310. Beck, how they say it, 311, the wide receiver out of TCU. And then Dylan Sampson, Johnny went there at 312 to finish it off. Really nice, good work, guys. We got through that pretty quick. Let's before we get into some of our favorite picks, where we're a little bit wondering where some guys fell. Where are some sleeper guys that didn't get in these first three rounds? Maybe you've seen go in the third round, or guys that are kind of at the top of your list there in the fourth round. Eli, go ahead, jump in there.
Yes, I think with the format of this, with the half PPR, I think Riley Leonard would have been my next pick had we had a fourth round first pick. Riley Leonard, obviously I don't think he's Jalen. I don't think he's anywhere near Milroe, but for the value of it, the fourth round, I think Riley Leonard, that'd be a perfect spot for him.
Anybody else? I mean, you got some sleepers, some guys you're looking at.
I would have took Jack Beck if he was there in the third round. That's just letting you know that would have been my 312. I got sniped, right? He was on my board. He's waiting to go. That would have been my pick there. I'm a big Jack Beck fan, so. There's a lot of, like I said, Ricky White earlier was somebody I was interested in. There's a lot of sleepers like Jaden Blue that I'm super interested in this year. And then guys like Nick Nash, he absolutely loved, and but he's already like 27 years old, so you can't take him into the pros because he's not going to last very long. But there's guys that are good at the college level that I don't think are going to pan out in the NFL. But there's a lot of good players left in this rookie in this rookie. How do you call it?
At the end of this draft class, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a ton of guys I'm going to be waiting on within. You always hear people like, "Hey, first, second round, only thing that really matters." Third, fourth, fifth round, man. There's going to be guys I'm going to be like, hold my breath for. Like, please let that guy get to me, because there's a lot of guys. This is just such a deep draft. There's a lot of guys. I know. SC, you brought it up earlier in the third round. A guy that's getting not talked about whatsoever, but I think could be a pretty good pro, but it's such a deep class. What about Ferguson from Oregon, the tight end?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love Ferguson. I think he is getting slept on as a tight end. He's a great receiving back. He can also block. He's not as good as your top tight ends when it comes to blocking, but he can do it all too, man. And I absolutely loved him. In a great scheme, he can definitely be someone that gets there. Someone not on the board that's not even in sleeper right now that I know will be probably a second round pick and the second, early third is Jalen Noel.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about a wide receiver that has it.
Yes.
He's someone that, I consistently see getting more people on his wagon, and he's just going to be a great prospect to watch out for, especially at the combine. I think he's about to kill it. He's going to go in there and do some great things. And also, the combine, for me, I don't know about for y'all, but I know for a lot of people, the combine caused Bucky Irvin's stock to drop. Oregon has another running back coming out in Jordan James that has some great contact balance. He's not as smooth, as slippery as Bucky Irvin, but he still is a good running back in space as well, and he does have some speed to him. So Jordan James, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves up the draft board and we see him in the third round as well.
Anybody eyeballing Savion Williams right at all? Because just said athletic freak. The guy benches more than me. He jumps a foot in the air. 5 feet in the air. He can squat like 600 pounds. It's for a wide receiver. It's absolutely 6'5", 230 pounds, and he runs like a 4.40. I mean, it's just an absolute unit. But again, I think he's more of an athlete than a football player.
Yeah, he sounds like a bigger version of DK Metcalf from what you're on paper or whatnot. But like, I don't know. Me and Jamie have the same opinion about the TCU guys. It's
Quentin Johnson scares me.
Yeah, same thing with Besh. Like Besh be my concern with him too. It's that TCU thing. I know Johnston had a decent year with the Chargers, and Bateman, they caught 8 touchdowns and stuff, but they tend to not pan out. So I don't know. I'd stay away from Savion Williams and Besh.
No, with the hype that Johnson had, I mean, I'm off of Williams because of that. I'm like, I tried the experience with TCU wide receivers. I'm gonna pass this time around. So
yeah, it was funny because when we did our preview last year on some of those, I'm like, I just look back at all the TCU wide receivers, and each one of them was a first rounder, and they didn't pan out. And I'm like, is Quentin Johnson going to be another one of these guys that just taken in the first round and just vanishes? And then I'm hoping Beck, it ends up maybe a second round kind of guy, and he does not fall off the board. He just doesn't land anywhere. It's just like, or not land anywhere, but just vanishes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A couple of my guys, sleepers, are squeezing up into this third round. Something like Woody Marks is a guy I like a lot. I've talked about him a lot. LaQuinn Allen, not in the system right now. The running back out of Syracuse is a guy I really like his receiving profile. I think he has a shot to move up the board. It'll be interesting. SC, I think you brought up a pretty good point, and I actually had this conversation with someone on X the other day. Devin Neal is a guy that's just a really good football player, but he doesn't blow you away with any of the metrics. He's a guy I feel like could be a Bucky Irvin, where people are finally starting to come to him. They're starting to like him. They're like, "Oh, I like this guy." I could see a Devin Neal maybe going to the combine and not putting up great numbers, and then having a little bit of that drop like Bucky. I have to tell you, I was one of the people that blew it on Bucky last year. I loved Bucky coming in, and I way overreacted to the combine. I mean, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I can take him, man. He's slow. No one's going to give him a shot." And I just ignored everything that I saw on tape, which I loved him on tape. He was one of my top 4 running backs in last year's draft class. And then all of a sudden he dropped to running back like 7 or 8 for me after the draft. So that's something to keep in mind when you're talking about these things. Like, I love Devin Neal. If he drops a little bit because he isn't great at the combine, I'm going to know because of Bucky Irvin last year not to overreact because the guy's just a good football player. I think you're going to see some of those things maybe with like a Cam Scatterbo as well. Like he's a guy that's probably not going to blow you away at the combine, but he's another guy that's just a tough, good football player. So it's going to be interesting to see what some of these smaller running backs, what they run. And if some of these bigger running backs like Ollie Gordon and Martinez run pretty good times and put up some pretty big RAS scores for how big they are, it'll be interesting to see if people kind of change course and say, hey, I am willing to take a bigger running back as opposed to a catching receiving back. Because I don't know what you guys feel, but I feel like there's a big mix of running backs. Not only there's a ton of good running backs, but there's a mix of smaller guys that can catch, really big guys, some fast guys, some guys that are just really good football players. So I feel like it's across the board. There's a lot of options out there for teams and for fantasy managers.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of variety. It's like pick your it's like Baskin Robbins, pick your flavor. What kind of you want.
100%.
And like, I don't know, what do you guys think? You were mentioning Ollie Gordon. Like, what do you guys think happened this year? Like, me and Jay were like, because he ended up having 13 rushing touchdowns, which is, he started the year slow as hell, had like under 900 yards rushing. Do you guys know, was it an offensive line issue or
he wasn't bouncing off the tackles as efficient as he was the year before. Like, the year before, it looked like he was invincible. Like he was the thing from Fantastic Four, just running through everybody. This year, it was like he was the thing, but he just crumbled and someone tackled him. Yeah. So, he definitely can be it, but it was just a bad showing. The line wasn't the greatest, but they did some good things, and it was just he was getting tackled a lot on that first concept. Yeah. He wasn't breaking as many.
And on top of that, SC, Oklahoma State was not good this year. They were not good. So they got in a lot of bad situations where last year they were in a lot of games. So they were able to really kind of lean on Ollie Gordon. This year, they were just down in a ton of games where it's like, okay, well, we can't really give them carries because at this point now we got to throw the ball. The QB play was up and down all year. They were switching quarterbacks out all season. So I think, when that happens, I think it can kill running backs. It's just as far as production wise, when you're not playing in a positive script, you're getting run the ball when you want to run the ball. You're not forcing the tempo on offense. You're basically having to do what the defense is giving you. And I think people just stacked the line on him. He just did not do a good job, like SC said, of breaking tackles. And then because of that, it just multiplied that they were not good. And so they kept getting down in games and having to throw. And they were not good at throwing either, which meant their team just didn't have the ball on offense a lot. So I think it was a combination of problems. It'll be interesting if he can kind of almost like not in the same as Luther Burden, but show that like, hey, that year before film was really me. Last year wasn't my best showing. Luther Burden, same way. I'm a big Mizzou guy. Everything that could went wrong for him this year with injuries and sickness and the quarterback play, it just all went wrong. But if you watch his tape from the year before, he was outstanding. He did everything you want an NFL wide receiver to do. And then I also go back, when you have those one-hit wonders is one thing, but when those guys have shown out in high school, early on in their career, they were super high-end recruits. I always give those guys a little more of a benefit of the doubt than a guy who's maybe a 5th or 6th year breakout who wasn't a very high-end recruit, kind of figured it out eventually. I'll take a guy that was a high-end, 5-star who maybe had a down year. Once he's shown me he's done it in the past, I'll give him a little more of a break on that.
Because he was the 9th running back off the board in our draft here, and like I'd take him over Scatterbo. Definitely take him over DJ Giddens, who went behind him, but you start going up the list a little bit. I'd take him over Travian Henderson. I know it might be a stretch there, but yeah, Ollie Gordon, like, if this had been last year, he would have been right there with Hampton. You would have been,
you would think him and Hampton would have been like right there at running back 2 if it was last year's draft class. I agree. And it's going to be interesting because Martinez, I feel like Damian Martinez is right there with Ollie Gordon. I think they're very similar types of players.
Yeah, Martinez.
See where those guys go. I could, for me, if Martinez hits a better landing spot, I could see myself taking Martinez at the beginning of the 2nd round. Where he ends up going eventually. So I think those guys. I think we're going to see a ton of movement in this running back class as far as draft position for fantasy.
JT, you and I were on a show a few years ago, and we talked about Devin Neal, and I was saying then that he's the most underrated back in this class. I think that's going to be a guy that can be a home run hitter for you. And then just for Eli on Henderson, what he proved this year is he can work in the committee, which works well in the NFL. because that's something he needs. He's someone that needs less to get more. If he can't be the workhorse, right? So I'm afraid of taking him in the first round. I know a lot of people will, but I don't think he could be your 3-down back. He needs to be a guy that comes in or gets first 2 downs and then takes a break and does that. And that can be a blow up year for him. That could be okay. He's a top 5 running back, but I don't see it as that right now.
I think Henderson would be a perfect like you were saying. I think Henderson would be a perfect Raven. I think he'd fit, Raven, Charger, Harbaugh, that kind of scheme, being like what J.K. Dobbins was or Gus Edwards or I think people that think he's going to be a feature 1,400-yard back are going to be disappointed if they take him too high, versus some of these other guys that like Damian Martinez has got a higher ceiling, Ollie Gordon has a higher ceiling. Even I prefer Devin Neal over Travion Henderson. So
I think if you're taking, I like Travion a ton. I'm gonna probably have him in a lot of leagues, but I'm also going in with the idea that he is gonna probably get 12 to 18 touches a game max. Like he's not gonna be a 20 touch guy. I just like that he can do a lot with a small amount of touches. That's what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a pound, I need a back that's gonna get me a ton of yards. What I want is I want to have like a CMC on my team. And then I want Travion Henderson to be my RB2 or my RB3, where I know I'm going to get some points out of him every week. If he busts a big one, he's going to get me a good score, but I'm not counting on him as my RB1. If Travion Henderson's your RB1, that's where I'm struggling to take him. If like I'm taking him and be like, oh, he's going to be my bell cow back as far as fantasy wise is concerned. I just don't think he's going to be that consistent guy week to week. I think he's going to consistently get you double digit points, but you just aren't going to be able to rely on a million carries out of him. And then Jamie, I have to bring this up. He said JT still giving Darrell Green Beckham a chance. Had to throw it in there. The Missouri hate. Oh, killed me. That's a guy that we could go back and needs to be a 30 for 30 on how he blew his career. Oh my God, such talent for him. I have to tell you, I'm hoping that the Missouri curse doesn't go over to Luther, because man, they've had a lot of curses whenever they get a top 5 player in the nation, basketball, football wise, that those players end up falling apart. Luther, I don't think is going to happen to him. But yeah, Darrell Green Beckham, man. I kept taking him in fantasy leagues going, hey, he's just going to get it together. He's going to get together. He was like Martavius Bryant for me. I had Martavius Bryant everywhere too. It was like, he's going to eventually pull together. I was believing in the talent, and then eventually I had to let go, years and years later when I was just like, all right, this guy's never going to play. He's just filling up spots on my dynasty rosters.
Luther Burden was a stud in St. Louis, though.
Oh, it was absolutely. I mean, Darrell Green Beckham led the nation in receiving touchdowns, but he also played in Southern Missouri, not in East St. Louis. But
speaking of a couple sleeper guys, I'm going to keep an eye on is Merritt from the Lobes, but transferred from Arizona. He had over 1,000-yard season before he got injured here with Arizona this last year. Chisholm the third, FCS level guy. He surpassed Cooper Kupp's record down there. And then maybe Trey Stewart is another guy. He, Jackson State, and he really tore it up down there too as well. Looked pretty dang good too as well. And then the last one I'm going to say is Webster from Colorado. He was a transfer from Liberty, and he actually had a nice outing here with Colorado this year.
Did you guys catch a bunch of the East West Shrine Bowl game? Oh, sorry, JT.
I was going to say real quick, Wester. No problem. I was going to say Wester transfer from Florida Atlantic, where he led the nation receiving. Yeah. Wester's a guy I've been seeing a lot where maybe he's like a 5th, 6th, 7th round guy. If he goes to somebody, he's a guy I'm going to stash. I like him. I like Wester a lot. I really, really do. I watched a ton of Colorado this year. I think he could make it on an NFL roster and actually be a solid player. So he's a guy like, and John earlier mentioned Ricky White out of UNLV. I want to see Ricky White on somewhere good. I think he's highly, highly underrated. Absolute horrible quarterback play at UNLV, and he still put up numbers. So go ahead and say what you were saying about East West.
I was going to say he made Matt Sluka and Hodge Malik Williams. He made them look, like they were Heisman contenders. Ricky White's awesome.
Say Maivia.
Yeah. Did you guys catch any of the East West Shrine Bowl game? Because I think those are some of the guys Jamie was mentioning. Chisholm from Eastern Washington and LaJonte Wester from Colorado. Did you guys? catch a lot of that or the Senior Bowl?
I watched a decent amount. I always try to watch those games. I'm actually, as someone who just is a huge football fan, I am so psyched that those things are becoming big and that now everyone's going to them. Because I tell you what, guys, I was getting really tired of everyone skipping everything but their pro day. Like everyone being like, "Oh, I'm only going to work out at my pro day." I was like, dude, this is your chance to shine. It was like everybody was hiding, like, oh, I just don't want to do anything that's going to look bad. So everyone would just do their pro day. I'm pumped about how big this has gotten. All these games where everybody's going down, because I think it makes a huge difference when a college coach or a pro coach is out there coaching you, and then you have those guys be able to watch you for a whole week at practice, as opposed to one set pro day where you're basically doing the bare minimum and they're running just the routes and the things that they know you're going to look good at. Like, because they know you, because your college coaches were like, oh, this is what he can do. So they're trying to highlight to make you look good, which they should do that. But I am pumped. I'm hoping this year for the combine, we haven't seen the full list yet. It's in a couple weeks. I'm hoping most of these guys all go all out and do the whole thing. Where in the last couple of years, everybody's like, hey, I'm a top 5 pick. I don't need to do the combine. It's not worth it. It's just going to hurt me. I feel like there's so much, like, just everybody's right on top of each other that I feel like guys, if they don't go out, are going to kill themselves in their draft stock, because anybody else goes out and puts a good showing on, like Roma Dunze did last year. He did everything at the combine when no one else wanted to, and he tore it up and became a top 10 pick. I think I'm super excited. I know me and John are going to the combine in Indy here in a couple weeks. I'm super excited that hopefully a huge amount of guys are going to show up to the combine this year and show out.
Someone that got a lot of love, Colin McCord. You talk about Syracuse quarterback as well. He can definitely rise some boards as a quarterback. Not taken here. I mean, we have Quinn Ewers. McCord might be the next one off the board.
I would have been McCord. If we would have got to the 4th round, McCord would have got to me. And I tell you what,
no, sorry,
QB
JT.
leagues, I know you would have got it before me.
You would have been mine. I would have had him before you.
I know. In a 2 QB leagues, there's a chance he gets into the 3rd round for me, depending on where he goes. I might take him earlier. I just think he's a guy that is, he's not gonna come in and start for you, but he's a guy that just needs a chance. I think he, in the right situation, could be one of those guys that ends up having a long, decent NFL career and is good for fantasy. He's not gonna be your top end fantasy guy, top 5, but is he a guy that can be in the top 10 to 15 every year, and especially in the 2 QB Superflex league? I think so.
And JT and everybody else too, like, why couldn't he come in and be an Aiden O'Connell? Like, why couldn't he come in and best case scenario?
Totally agree.
Best case scenario, like Jamie and like we were saying, best case scenario, Kirk Cousins, Dak, 4th round guys, even Russell Wilson, 3rd round guy. Like, why couldn't he come in or Brock Purdy got the job halfway through the year with some injuries, and 7th round guy, and guys about to be paid $200 million. So. Like, I don't know. Quinn Ewers, I think, is junk. I think I think McCord should have gone ahead of him. Riley Leonard should have gone ahead of him. Just in this. Two thumbs down for Quinn Ewers. Not a fan.
Yeah, man.
Dude, this is so funny to me. This is so funny to me that everybody's coming on this train, because I felt like I was the only person that liked Kyle McCord, like 3 months ago. Like, I was the only person talking about him, and then I was like, I just don't get Ewers. I don't understand it. I've watched him a ton. I just don't love it. I like McCord, and everybody was just ripping me. Like, how could you like Jackson Dart and Kyle McCord better than Ewers and these other guys? And I was like, man, I just do. I was like, maybe I look like an idiot in a couple months or a year or two, but I was like, I just do. And I just think it's wild how many people I see online are like, oh, Jackson Dart, Kyle McCord. All of a sudden people are like talking them up, and I'm like, everyone likes them and doesn't like Ewers. I was like, I felt like I was on an island for a long time, and I feel like everybody's jumping on the island. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
vindication for you.
So here's a quick
if we want to talk about real vindication, me and SC, we a couple years ago we did a Devy show, and we talked about college football players and Devy and where we take guys. We were the only 2 people on Sugar Sanders 2 years ago. I mean, we were the only 2 people on Sugar Sanders 2 years ago when he transferred from Jackson State to Colorado. We told everybody, you should be picking this guy up in Devy. He has a potential in 2 years to be QB1. We got laughed at. People are like, you're ridiculous. He just played at Jackson State and acted like he was like never going to be anything. And me and SC were the only 2 guys that were like, had him in our top 5 QBs. And we're like, in 2 years, if he sticks around for 1 year, we said he could even go 2nd, 3rd round after his first year at Colorado, and this is before he even played at Colorado. But we said if he sticks around 2 years, I think he could be QB1 in this draft class. And people looked at us like we were crazy. So SC, I just want to say thanks, man. You were the only other guy that had my back with that.
All right. So quick question here, quick. So would you guys rather have Kyle McCord rather than like a Will Rogers, a Brady Cook, a Seth Hennigan, a Max Brosmer?
Yes.
I mean, these are just guys that are below Kyle McCord. So I mean, I would probably take him over Will Howard too. I mean, that's just me.
I'd like Kyle McCord over Will Howard as well.
I would take him over Will Howard.
I mean, right now I've got Sanders as my QB1, Ward's my QB2. I've got Dart and McCord, like honestly, right on top of each other. Probably Dart 3, McCord 4. I'm at those guys, and I'm probably just on the fact that I think the NFL would take him and give him a shot. I've got Milroe at 5, but I think I just think I think to me, I like those guys as better QBs. Fantasy wise, if you're going to take a shot on the guy, why wouldn't you take a shot on Milroe if he ends up hitting? Yeah, I love it. So I'm not going to take Milroe in the first round at all. But if I get to the mid second, late second, early third in a Superflex league that's a big Superflex league or a 2 QB league, I'm probably going to take him because it's going to be worth the shot. And again, right now, you just don't know what the NFL is going to do. But all it takes is one team to fall in love with him and take him. If he goes in the top of the second round, maybe he's not even a first round. Maybe he goes top of the second round. If he goes top of the second round, there's no reason that he wouldn't be a first round fantasy pick, I think.
I mean, look at right now. If you were to draft Joe Milton in the 5th round of last year's draft, rookie draft, you could sell Joe Milton for like an early 3rd right now. And he hasn't done anything besides one game.
Dude, I love Joe. I love Milton.
Me and Jamie were saying that.
I love Joe Milton. Okay, don't love you love Joe.
Oh, come on. I mean, to think about Joe Milton not getting I think he was drafted. I don't remember. I don't think if he wasn't. I mean, just the arm talent he has just to chuck it down the field is just amazing. Just that little outing we saw here just before the end of the season with Milton. I mean, now everybody wants to run out and go get this guy. I mean, I wanted him way before he even was, available, So I'm just like, I would have loved to had him as an actual starter for sure.
He's going to be a draft day trade, I think, this year.
But with the quarterbacks not on the board, so I mean, I know, John, it looks like you were saying or felt like Will Howard over Kyle McCord, but also, I mean, what about like Curtis Work or even Tyler Shaw out of Louisville? Are those quarterbacks that you're taking? I would take all those over Gabriel. I think Gabriel was great at Oregon. I saw the games. He was fantastic, very efficient. But, man, you can also see he cannot see over that line, and he's not, Drew Brees where he's jumping it over. And there was a lot of bad plays where he missed an open guy, wide open, because he couldn't see over the line. So, I mean, you get into those later quarterbacks, I think those other 4 upper.
He would need. I think the only spot Dylan Gabriel would work was with the Rams because I think McVay's had a lot of like Stetson Bennett, John Wolford. He's had a lot of those shorter backups. I think Gabriel could be a good backup with the Rams. But everywhere else, I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah, somewhere where you get 2 and 3, like 3 and 5 step drops and get rid of the ball real fast, not sit in the pocket and kind of get lost. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
All right, guys, we got about 5-6 minutes left before we shut this sucker down. Johnny McGlynn, give me your final thoughts here on the rookie draft and let everybody know where they can find you. We'll just go right down the line, fellas.
John McGlynn 75, and you could find me in 3 places on Twitter at John McGlynn 75, at the Dynasty Evaluation on Fantasy and Frames, and getting sniped by JT in all my rookie drafts.
Absolutely.
Except for today. So
we got a draft not next to each other. That is for sure. All right, Eli, let everybody know where you can get to all your stuff here.
Split you guys up. Yeah, me and Jamie, we're on the same channel, Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports. My handle's right there, just my real name. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Same cast of characters, or maybe in a few more guys if we want to run this back, maybe a different style, different format or something. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's interesting to see some of the variation because a lot of it goes about, I'd say about 30 of these 36 picks or whatever it was. Yeah. Is that 30? Yeah. 36. About probably 30 of them are, pretty standard, but it's the 6 that are the variants that I find interesting. So but yeah, I'd definitely like to run this back.
All right, James, what about you?
I mean, I didn't mind it. If we had a fourth round, if we had another pick in here, I would have took Pat Bryant. I'm starting to kind of love Pat Bryant here. He's for me, I think he's kind of that T. Higgins kind of style guy. You're not quite wide receiver 1, but more of that wide receiver 2 aspect, but can bring a lot of impact. I don't know. Other than that, if I had an opportunity, I would take. I mean, I love some Caleb Johnson, but I have to actually see a little bit more on him in there. But you can catch me and Eli at Auto Rhythm. I'm actually an Auto Rhythm fan. We're on YouTube, X, and you can catch all of our Apple and Spotify as well.
Nice, thanks, Jamie. SC, my guy from way back doing shows together. Good to have you on, man. I hadn't seen you in a while. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. So on X at the PPR. So also with our YouTube channel, the Fantasy Football Universe, at the FF Universe on X as well. As far as this draft goes, man, Devin Neal is the sleeper running back. That's gonna be my guy. I'm riding with him. 3 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He is efficient. Don't let the combine scare you. Don't let his draft spot watch to say, man, Devin Neal is the sleeper guy there. And then as far as that tight end room, the tight end premium, Oronde Gatz, man, he is not getting the love he deserves. That is a great pick there. He is someone that is big. He uses his big body to get the blocks. You know he's going to see the field, and he's just going to be a nightmare matchup for everyone. So, I mean, that's going to be a great guy to go after as well. Let everyone else get the other guys, and if you need to sleep on tight end, get Gatson late, man.
As a Dolphins fan, he's definitely on my radar from his old man's days. So, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Jamie jumps in, says, always ready to mock draft. You need people. We appreciate that, Jamie. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for everybody that jumped in and helped us mock draft. Yeah, we're going to be doing mock drafts throughout the offseason. Typically, we'll be running them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending on the Fantasy and Frames schedule and what everybody can do and get in. So if you want to, hit me up at JT Orange on X. Also, if you're not on X, I know some people aren't. So if you aren't, you can always email me too at jtorange4@gmail.com. Hit me up and say, hey, I want to get in a mock draft. We're going to be doing different settings every week, just a little bit of different variations, just kind of see how they change. And obviously, we went from 2 rounds to 3 rounds. We'd love to add that 4th round in, as me and John are 2 guys who love to pile up the 4th round picks and take some stabs at the dark. So we maybe add that on next time. I appreciate everybody who jumped in on this one. Make sure you go in and check out Fantasy and Frames. Like, subscribe there. Also, just tons of shows on there. So you can find John's Donnie Evaluation, my show, The Stew with JT Brew, among other things. So thanks, everybody, again for joining us. It's been fun in the stew. We'll chat you next time. Have a good one.
You up on trades and why you move, you ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release, we started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.